Jonathan Okasinski is quite an amazing ninth grader. He is interested in science and is absolutely fascinated with a phenomenon called quantum entanglement.
Well, I like to browse around libraries, and I was just browsing around the library one day, and I found a book called Entanglement by Mira Axel, and that was at the completion of last year's science fair project, which I did on batteries, and my mom said that I should do something a little bit more complicated, and this book covered all sorts of quantum phenomenon, including entanglement, and I found it very interesting. It was just kind of like a different phenomenon that you would not be able to see in everyday life. And it was very useful because you could do things like quantum teleportation and true random number generation with it.
The 12-year-old's parents encouraged him, but he had to receive some adult support.
I think both my parents thought I was kind of crazy because neither of my parents have a background in this sort of area. But between like a lot of Googling, some help from mentors, and books, I was able to learn a lot. Back at Pennfield, Mr. Testa has been very generous and allowed me access to come in to work on, to cut some of this stuff, like these pieces, at his shop. And Mrs. Maurer was also very helpful and helped me write a grant application to help fund this. But besides that, all the work is pretty much done in my basement.
Quantum entanglement wasn't the first project that Okasinski tackled. The last project he entered into a competition was on rechargeable batteries.
I noticed that my mom's smartphone battery kept getting lower and lower over time. It seemed to last for shorter periods of time. So I thought that I would research different compositions and how they affect one another. And so what I did was I looked up and tested a bunch of different factors and then made a weighted score for each of them to kind of create a total score. And I found that by changing which one of the factors was most important, I could easily change which one would be the best battery.
In addition to being selected as one of the top 12 students in the competition, the Pennfield Middle School student placed second in the STEM Mathematics Awards category. He not only received these honors, but he met President Barack Obama.
They weren't allowed to tell us beforehand, so they said that we were going for makeup photo shoots, and then we were going to go to the National Air and Space Museum. But then they told us on the bus that we were going to the White House, and everybody was very happy. It was very exciting. They took us in, and then President Obama came in, made a speech, shook our hands. It was very fun. There were a lot of jokes in his speech. I think that was what struck me most. I think his jokes kind of broke the tension because some of the kids seemed tense, but after his speech, nobody really seemed that tense anymore. And we introduced ourselves and said where we were from. It was very exciting.
While in DC, he took part in many different activities that were put together for all of those participating in the Broadcom Masters competition.
Well, we spent most of the time there working on these STEM challenges that were organized for us. So some of them were we had an Alka-Seltzer bottle cap rocket that you had to figure out how much weight you would add to make it go to what height and then set for a target height. There was one where we had to make a roller coaster for a marble with 3 vertical loops in it, and a lot of different fun activities.
Through his experience, Okasinski remains humble, saying that there were some areas that were experimentally not very good in his project, so he plans on continuing his work. In the future, he wishes to continue studying science, although he is not sure which field he wants to pursue. Nevertheless, his love of the subject will propel him to succeed in whatever field he chooses. Reporting for North Penn Television, I'm Tiffany Liebel.
For all of these stories and more, log on to nptv.npenn.org for all of our programming at your fingertips 24 hours a day.